This defunct Japanese water park was absolutely insane, but how did it get built and what happened to it? Let's look at the story of AOIA right here on Theme Park Crazy. In the late 1980s, Japan was experiencing an economic boom. This time period, known as the Japanese asset price bubble, saw inflated real estate and stock prices, as well as uncontrolled credit expansion. The economy was so powerful that the land underneath Tokyo alone was said to be worth all of the land in the United States. This era was defined by state-of-the-art cars, vibrant fashion, and a slew of ambitious construction projects. At one point, an entire underground city was conceived. In 1987, the Japanese government offered developers sizable tax breaks and loans to those wanting to build local resorts and attractions. Money was seemingly no object, and a number of ambitious projects began development. One of these projects was to be built in the rapidly developing city of Kobe in Hyogo Prefecture. In addition to new offices and living spaces, the city saw notable tourism development on the man-made Rokko Island. Originally built to provide more housing for the city's growing population, Rokko Island was envisioned as a city of the future and a major tourist destination. Several malls and hotels were constructed, but the island's most notable attraction was a brand new theme park resort named AOIA. The park's developer would be the Rokko Environmental Plan, a subsidiary of the Seiyo Real Estate Corporation. The idea was not to build an ordinary amusement park, but an entire themed entertainment resort. Among the plans would be an outdoor amusement park and water park, as well as an indoor amusement center and an entire hotel. These plans were meant to help complete Rokko Island's transformation as a major destination for Japan. Shortly after its conception, construction was underway for AOIA. Starting in 1991, the park would see a segmented opening, with a different section of the park opening each year over the next few years. The first phase saw the opening of the Splash Garden Water Park in 1991. This area was known for two major attractions. First was a lazy river named Streamer. Navigating the entire course was said to take between 20 and 30 minutes, assuming there were no traffic jams. This lazy river completely surrounded the next and certainly most notable of the park's attractions, the Super Hooper. Built by Canadian manufacturer Whitewater West, this enormous slide complex housed a whopping 50 water slides. Yes, 50. The sheer number of slides intertwined with each other perfectly represented the bubble economy's theme of money being no object. What was even more notable was that no two slides were exactly the same, with each varying in height, angle, intensity, and/or direction. Furthermore, 32 of these slides were body slides, while the remaining 18 required an inner tube to ride. The longest slide of the bunch was 151 meters or 495 feet. In total, if you added up every slide end to end, you get a total length of 6 kilometers or over 3.7 miles. To this day, no single water slide complex is said to have housed more slides than the Super Hooper. Even Qatar's upcoming Icon Tower, also designed by Whitewater West, only has 12 slides. Needless to say, an image like this certainly qualifies this place as being Japan's most insane water park ever. Appropriately enough, the Super Hooper became instantly popular, with huge crowds visiting to cool off in the hot Kobe sun. Things were looking great for the park's future developments, but the end of 1991 would see Japan's economic picture take a turn for the worst. Back in 1989, Japan's stock market peaked, with inflation levels red hot. In order to combat this inflation, the Bank of Japan increased their interbank rates. This policy would lead to a downturn that caused the bubble economy to burst in late 1991 and early 1992. Land and property values started to plummet at a rate of around 20% a year. Moreover, banks and financial institutions were left in a state of immense debt, and the same eventually went for the developers of AOIA. Despite the economic calamity though, the Rokko Environmental Plan pressed on with its phased opening of AOIA. In 1992, the next segment of the park named Dynavox would open. Unlike the Splash Garden, this was an indoor theme park capable of being open year-round. In addition to arcade machines, restaurants, and souvenir shops, there were a number of unique thrill rides that set this building apart from other arcades in the country. For gaming and thrills combined, there was Gazun, a unique interactive ride experience. The goal of the game was to shoot rubber balls at other vehicles, with points being added for each hit. If you felt like riding something less competitive, you could check out the roller coaster Kitchen Panic. On this ride, guests boarded what resembled toy rockets and went through a cartoon kitchen setting with a Tom and Jerry-esque plot of a cat and mouse chase. Photos of this ride are extremely rare, but the coaster was shown to have a good amount of theming. Another highly themed experience was the Demon's Unexplored Land, an interactive maze that challenged guests to escape the Demon King's labyrinth. Perhaps the most notable attraction, and the most widely promoted one, was the motion simulator Terabus. The story of this ride centered around deep-sea exploration, culminating in a battle with an undersea pirate. This ride could seat 60 passengers at a time, and use 70mm film to add the ultimate immersion to the ride experience. All of these attractions combined served to further emphasize the city of Kobe as a must-visit destination, but there was even more to come. 1993 was by far the biggest year for AOIA, as it saw the opening of multiple segments and notable attractions. First was a brand new amusement park named Dynabon that served as a dry alternative to the Splash Garden. In addition to a double-decker carousel and a 54-meter-tall Ferris wheel, the park was also home to a number of thrill rides. These included a Fabry Kamikaze ride named Twin Dragon, a Host Topspin named Top Gun, and an ARM Super Bowl ride. For those with lower intensity thresholds, a few more relaxing attractions opened up as well. Also opening in 1993 was the park's canal, where riders could take scenic cruises through the complex. A number of new restaurants opened as well, with some serving high-end meals. Yet another major attraction was a new section named the Ocean Deck, which housed a number of shops and restaurants, as well as a karaoke bar. 1993 also brought perhaps the most high-end addition to the park, an actual marina where people could park their yachts. Just imagine if a Six Flags park had a yacht parking lot. Despite the downfall of the bubble economy, the park proved to be very popular in 1993, drawing a reported 2 million people. This attendance was partially achieved by the park's marketing campaign. To help promote the park that year, officials hired famous comedic trio Dacho Club to star in a series of TV commercials.
AOIA 今夜おもろいが神戸の出来たて遊園地 Pardon?
Super Hooper, Dynabox, Dynabag!
AOIA
1994 would be yet another important year for the park. That season, the park received its first roller coaster, Jetta Costa, or roller coaster in English. In addition, Dynavox would receive a new laser tag attraction named Qzar in October. Unfortunately, this would end up being the shortest-lived attraction in the park's history, because a few months after its opening, an unspeakable tragedy would hit not just the park, but the entire country of Japan. On January 17, 1995, an earthquake measuring 7.3 on the Richter scale directly hit the city of Kobe. The quake was extremely destructive. Over 6,000 people lost their lives, with another 43,000 injured and over 300,000 displaced. It was one of the worst natural disasters in the country's history and is still remembered today. After the earthquake, officials surveyed the damage to AOIA. Surprisingly, according to Whitewater West structural technologist Peter Cooper, the Super Hooper was undamaged, with the water slide still in working condition. However, the park as a whole still suffered significant damage. In many areas, the soil had liquefied due to the quake, compromising several structures. Moreover, there was only one bridge leading to the island at the time. With this bridge being heavily damaged in the quake, tourism to the area greatly suffered. All of these factors, combined with the collapse of Japan's bubble economy, led officials to deem the park not financially viable enough to repair and reopen. The earthquake's tremors lasted just 20 seconds, but in less than half a minute, an entire theme park resort was brought to a sudden and tragic end. On the other hand, many had argued that even if the quake hadn't occurred, AOIA still would have suffered in the long term. One of the next phases of AOIA was to build an entire hotel named the Gatehouse. Even before the earthquake though, getting this phase off the ground proved to be challenging due to the bubble economy bursting. The project was initially set to open in the spring of 1993. However, this date would be pushed to 1994 and later postponed again to an unknown date. The park had the misfortune of opening at the tail end of Japan's golden economic age. The first few years were strong due to its scale and attractions, but eventually, the park's development would have hit a wall with its parent company Seiyo at a financial standstill. And even if the park had survived the 1990s, the early 2000s would see the debut of Universal Studios Japan in nearby Osaka. This new, highly advanced theme park was just a short drive away from where AOIA was. Without substantial investments, AOIA would have likely been driven out of business. So what did happen to the land this park sat on? Well, in 2002, a good chunk of it was sold, and it's now the site of Kobe International University. Another area of the former park is set to be transformed into a high-end camping area, or glamping as it's known as. On the other hand, much of the park remains a vacant lot. The large parking garage also looks abandoned, with the structure rusting away and being overtaken by vines. A few blocks away, a smaller water park named Decapithos opened, though sadly, the Super Hooper was not reused and was reportedly scrapped. As for the park's other attractions, a few of Dynabond's rides were relocated to the nearby Mosaic Garden. There is some dispute about where the roller coaster was moved to. Some sources say it was moved to Mosaic Garden, but RCDB says it was moved to Lena World. However, it makes sense that it was moved to Mosaic Garden, since that's where the Ferris wheel ended up. Though most of Mosaic Garden's rides were closed in 2012, the Ferris wheel is still in operation today, known as the Mosaic Big Ferris Wheel. Admittedly, photos and video of AOIA remain incredibly rare. People back in the 90s did not have easy access to video equipment, and the park was open for such a short time frame that it's often known as, quote, a phantom theme park online. So special thanks to all of the blogs that have managed to preserve this fascinating park's history. I'll post links in the description. So what did you think about this park? Did you get a chance to visit it? Do you have any memories of it? What attraction would have interested you the most? Feel free to leave a comment down below. And now it's time for the comment shoutout program. This is where I take 5 random comments from my previous video and read them out. These comments come from my video on annoying park guests. Andy Garcia says, I actually relate to the first one. I work at Universal Studios Hollywood and once got asked where the Avengers were. The Gold League says, my friend has diabetes and got the disability pass. So on Steel Vengeance, her mom didn't go through the metal detectors and her watch flew off during the ride. AndyBoy68 says, I hate when you're on a dark ride and guests are talking very loud and being obnoxious. Or on a coaster and just yelling stupidly, or if you're on a drop ride for the first time and someone says here's the drop now. Ugh, that really pisses me off. LOL, thanks for the video. Egon1 says, this guy casually hiding Sanji from One Piece and Joseph Jojo into the video. And Walter in Detroit says, I had an incident at Six Flags Over Texas. When I was riding Shockwave, there was 2 people in front of me literally vaping mid-ride and I breathed it in on accident. If you want to see your words in my next video, leave a comment down below and it may be selected. Please note though that inflammatory or spam comments will not be read. Thank you all so much, and if you want to support me on Patreon, you can do so once again at the link in the description. Thanks for watching, everyone. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or you can check out my website at themeparkcrazy.com. And I'm on TikTok. This is Theme Park Crazy, and I'll see you all next time.